I think it is interesting to think about the impression formation process and how it affects our everyday interactions with those around us. Every day we interact with people, whether at the store, in church, at school, at work, etc. These can be people that we know and talk to every day and can, a lot of times, be complete strangers. It is during these instances that we gather information from the things we don't know and create our first impression of who we perceive them to be. The first impression is influenced by many different traits that is shown to us. We use our senses to compile these traits into our first impression. We use our eyes to examine how they look to us. Are they clean? Are they dressed sloppy? We use our hearing to gather tone of voice. Do they speak rapidly as if in a hurry? Are they speaking in short, angry sentences? We use our sense of smell to gather information on their cleanliness and their personal hygiene. These all are contributing factors according to the impression formation process. It is how we interpret them individually that determines the final first impression that a new person makes on us. There are several different theories on how we form our first impression of people. I personally agree with the primacy-recency theory. The idea here, according to DeVito 2016, is that if what happens first in an encounter has the most influence, is known as the primacy effect. And if what happens last has the most influence, it is the recency effect. I noticed this in a lot of my interactions with people. Most notably was the most recently at work when I was put in a position to work with a brand new doctor because the doctor whom I normally work with is out. The doctor is brand new to the clinic. Is from a different country and works in a specialty that I do not normally work in. Our first day did not go well. To me, he appeared rude, self-conceited, passive-aggressive, and did not talk much. This was the first impression that I had of him, and it happened very quickly. I formed a schema of him with those traits, and every interaction I had with him and how I acted towards him was from that first impression. This works well with the primacy effect theory. I had a first encounter with him, gathered information quickly from that encounter, and made my first impression of him. I noticed as the days went on and how he was getting more comfortable with the clinic and its surroundings, that he was opening up and contradicting my previous impression. It was hard to think differently from these traits I first picked up on from that first encounter. The schema that I had already developed for him prevented me from fully seeing the positive things he was doing. I find as each day goes by, it is hard to think differently from that schema. But I am gradually starting to see differently. It is definitely more difficult though, and I am quick to revert back to my original thinking if something goes wrong. Like him having a bad day and thus having a bad attitude. Everyone has bad days and has a bad attitude, and his bad attitude may not be towards me or anything I do, but because I had already developed a negative schema for him, I am quick to jump back to that original conclusion. I could have adjusted this process by not being so quick to jump to conclusions and make the first impression the negative one that it was. I could have considered the fact that he was brand new and not originally from this state. Thinking about the fact that he was brand new, I could have given him the benefit of the doubt and just attributed it to the fact that he may be shy and nervous in his new surroundings. If I would have went into this interaction with that thought process, perhaps I wouldn't have been so quick to develop the negative impression and would have coached myself to be patient and wait to develop any impression of him.